Thank you, Olive. And as I was saying just before we took a break, there's a clear nexus between gender and climate change because men and women interact with the environment differently based on the gender roles and responsibilities. As you know, that the African culture prescribes certain roles to women and certain roles to men. So how we carry out our roles as women and men affect the climate, the environment differently. And so in so doing, you find that the impacts of climate change also affect men and women differently. And also, we don't look at men and women as a homogeneous group. You know, women are not homogeneous, neither are men. So you find that the young women, older women, women with disabilities, women from marginalized communities, they all carry out different social roles and therefore interact with the environment differently, and so do they experience impacts of climate change differently. But generally, across the world, you find that women depend more on the environment based on their gender and social roles as opposed to men. For instance, in most households, women will be concerned with how do we get water, how do we get energy for cooking, issues food security, because women, we are naturally naturals, and most of the foodstuffs and supplies for the homestead come from the environment directly. So then we interact with the environment more so for the welfare of the families, while men will interact with the environment to a large extent productively, like for commercial purposes. You know, when they engage in agricultural practices, it will be more on a commercial level. When they interact with the forest, it's more on the commercial level. So you find that the interactions are slightly different. And so when that environment is impacted by the effects of climate change, then the effects to them are different as opposed to women. Just taking a case of the drought right now, we've seen that in the drought-stricken counties, you find that women and children are the ones who are bearing the worst brunt. And I saw recently in the media, a woman who dropped dead in search of water, a lactating mother. So you can imagine she was going out of her way in order to get some water, probably to increase her milk production for the sake of the child. And in so doing, she lost her life. So those are the differences. So our productive and reproductive activities affect how we interact with the environment, and therefore the need to have a gender perspective when we are looking at the effects of climate change, but also looking at the interventions that come with them. So in this case, because of the differentiated impacts, we will be seeking to look for solutions that are targeted to women and to men separately based on how then they are affected.
All right. And you raised that story on it was, I think, a mother.